As the old world crumbles down and the new world is yet beginning to sprout, just tiny little baby sprouts coming out from the soil, you might wonder, how do I hold all of this? How do I hold all that's happening? How do I find the beauty and the peace and the destruction? And how do I bring alive what's next? Join us for a beautiful conversation with Rhiannon Heins on Soul Nectar Show. Be inspired.
Soul Nectar Show, the Soul Nectar Show. You're invited, delighted to discover who you are. Anything is possible if you believe. So join us on this beautiful journey. Soul Nectar Show, Soul Nectar Show.
Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Soul Nectar Show, that show where we talk about all things essence, where we gather around the campfire and we share our stories of connection with that which is greater than us, the great mystery beyond the veil, to those synchronistic moments that lead us inexorably to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world and what we're doing here on the planet at this time, a great awakening and the chaos. And I'm your host, Carrie Hummingbird. And I love having these conversations week after week. And as you know, we've been doing these conversations weekly for over 9 years. It's kind of hard to believe that long, and feels good. Feels good to be making a contribution in this way, especially as we are experiencing what seems to be in 2025, just more and 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 more shadow, chaos, destruction, things falling apart, and not really sure where we're headed or what's going to happen next. There's some confusion or doubt or veil over the future. And there just seems to be an invitation to rest in to the destruction, to the unraveling, to the mystery. I heard somebody the other day liken this time, which I thought was a really beautiful metaphor, to a womb, in terms of the United States and the country I live in, where we're heading into so much tumultuousness this year, and thinking of it like a womb, thinking of it like the actual country is now being formed. That's kind of a nice idea. But there's also this sense of that destructive piece, that falling apart in order to create a new. And that to me feels like Mariposa. It feels like the cocoon. It feels like the spiritual dark night of the soul that I personally have gone through, and that I know many of you listening have gone through. And now it feels like it's this collective dark night of the soul. It's the seeing all of the things that we wanted to avoid seeing, and feeling all the things that we wanted to avoid feeling, and just opening up to what comes next through the process. There's no around it or over it or bypassing it or, light warp speeding it. There seems to be just kind of slow down and feel it. But there's got to be more to it too. Like, what else can we do? How can we be in service to it besides simply witnessing what is happening, what is unfolding? And we're going to have a little bit of that conversation today, which sounds really beautiful. And my friend Rhiannon Heins is with us. Welcome, Rhiannon.
Thanks, Carrie. It's so beautiful to be here with you. Thank you so much for having me.
Glad you are here from Australia.
I am.
Rhiannon is an intuitive channel, a best-selling author and energy worker. She dedicates her life to her soul work, and underpinning her vision at every stage of her journey has been a deep and sacred desire to lead through her heart and to surrender to the mystery of the ever-unfolding path. And her business is Intuitive Rebirth, and so we'll provide the link in the show notes below. But Rhiannon, tell us a little bit about your own journey and how you became what you are today, a little Cliff Notes version. How did you start doing what you're doing? And I know it's also in another evolution right now, but share with us something about you.
Yeah, well, everything that you just spoke at the start there, Carrie, just like is the perfect reflection of my life. But mine, obviously, on the micro, my internal world has been just full of chaos, full of distraction. And so I'm 34, but my awakening started really young for most, when I was about 21. And the last 12 years has been constant eruptions and explosions and expansions into higher realities, higher dimensions. And this has happened time and time again. So right now, as I sit here sharing this conversation with you, I've got this life where I get to live in service and I get to write and serve through my energy work and my teaching. But the path to get there, yes, of course, it's been an evolution of my work and learning and putting things into practice. But actually the greatest, the greatest teaching in my life that's got me to this point as a channel and a healer and a teacher has just been my own experience of working with my own energy. I've never actually had a human teacher. I've never had someone impart their knowledge onto me around energy or healing. It's all come from within and my journey with plant medicine. But my greatest teacher has been my life experience of feeling, oh my goodness, my life is so painful. My life is so painful. Why does this hurt? Why is this agony? And allowing the agony to just be and swallow me up and just giving myself to the agony rather than trying to fix or change. And time again, getting to the point where it's like, okay, pain, I give over. I give over. I give up. I give in. And doing that time and time again. And every time I get to that point, there's a sacred explosion that propels me into a new way. And this has happened with misaligned relationship, misaligned business, misaligned work over and over and over again. And what my own life path has taught me is how to serve in this way, how to hold a group of, a huge number of people in their pain and to have no fear of that pain and to guide a space where everyone in the room has no fear of that pain. And just to hold, like you described, Carrie, a womb where it's like, this is the space where we just allow. And allowing is an act of love because we're not trying to change or fix. And that's how I do my work. That's how I do everything that I do. And it's been my life of destruction and chaos that's taught me this way. That's the cliff notes, as you say.
That's powerful. That's a powerful way to live. Sometimes we have these experiences in the body that we call pain generically, but they have different flavors, different flavors of pain, discomfort, unrest. For me, it's stress. In my Gene Keys chart, I have stress as my life's work. So I feel that sensation of like, this like stress feeling. And it's the kind of thing can make you want to flee your body. It's like, I just want to get out of this experience. And yet, like the way through it is through it, actually being with it, actually breathing through it, developing the capacity to stay present with it. Until I started being with it, it just kind of kept rumbling down in the surface. Not to say that it doesn't come, because it does. But there's this way that when I was younger, I would try to get past it by substances, right? So like, okay, well, I'll smoke some weed or I'll do some mushrooms and that'll make it better. Or I'll go run. There was a time in my life where I did marathon running just because the stress in my life was so vast that if I ran, I could move the energy. And after about 6 miles, I would feel better. So 6 miles of running, I would feel better. But there's like this way that I've been learning in this chapter of my life to cultivate the capacity to stay present with it without distracting from it, without moving away from it, noticing it's there, breathing into it, and just allowing it to be there. And it does dissipate on its own when it's ready, but it sure can be uncomfortable while it's moving through. It can be the kind of thing you really do want to leave your skin because it's that intense. Is that the kind of experience that you've also had?
Yeah, I've definitely had a lot of anxiety, that like high frequency stress where you're just vibrating. And in my early stages of my awakening, that was like definitely something that I experienced a lot. And I think that was, let's just make this woman feel everything that she can possibly feel to hopefully kickstart her out of this dream that she's in. But now for me, that pain, my flavor of pain that I experience frequently, well, not frequently, but when there's a time to go within and reflect and feel what's evolving, for me, it's like a really painful boredom. It's like, is it like, what now? Like, I'm so bored of this. Like, give me the next thing. This painful boredom that makes me want to speed up my life, that makes me want to take action and create something new or birth something new or do something just to make the next chapter hurry up. And I think what you describe with that anxiety, you didn't use that word, but that stress, and mine with this kind of boredom, these are default states for most of humanity. And my boredom that I experience, I've been reflecting lately, like how many offerings, how many services, how many products out there are actually birthed from that frequency, which is like a fear response. It's a fear that this moment isn't enough. This moment isn't going to give me everything I need. And when I feel it and my default pattern is to act, create a new event, create a new product, create a new website or whatever it is. Now it's like I'm sitting with it. Okay, well, if I birth now from this discomfort with the present moment, this fear of this moment not being enough, then anything I birth comes from fear. Oh, and that sits really uncomfortably in my body. So I'm like, oh, what does love do? Love allows this moment to be exactly as it is. And when I get back to that space, then I come back to the day. And like you described, Kerry, it's like the medicine for whatever it is, stress, boredom, whatever flavor of pain it is. The medicine is just the allowing and the being, and any action that we take to try and fix, that action is going to be coming from a state of fear. That the moment, that the energy, that the way we are in the present isn't enough, and that we are fundamentally not love. So allowing and just being and breathing with and just saying, okay, stress, I'm with you. Okay, boredom, I'm here. That's all we can do. And in doing that, we transform time and time again.
Yeah, it's amazing to me too on this journey, because I'm aware that the overall prophecy of this time from the Native American perspective is the time of the eagle and the condor. So it's the time when the eagle and the condor fly in the sky together. And the condor would be the heart consciousness, the community consciousness of the Southern Hemisphere, the indigenous consciousness. And the eagle consciousness would be the mind consciousness, the one that created societies and structures, the masculine mind, creating all these beautiful things. We can talk on technology, this is a blessing. But there's a way that it's completely out of balance, right? And so we got to bring it into harmony. And it's amazing to me how whenever I'm in one of those moments where like it's kicked up, right? Like the stress is big or the energy is big, or like this morning I'm at my altar getting huge downloads through my mind while I'm like standing there trying to open sacred space in the way that it takes me like an extra hour because I just can't get through it because it's such a deluge that I'm just like, okay, I can't even move. Like I just have to stand here till I can finish, because I need to finish, but I can't because it's coming through. And I also can't act right now. So I just have to stay. And it's amazing how when I got through all my prayers and I was like, okay, now I'm ready. I know I'm supposed to write something. And it was like blank. And it was like, nope, go sit. So then there was the sitting, literally meditating for hours, like just letting it all assimilate, heal, whatever it's doing, just letting it all do its thing while I just wait for it to do its thing. Because it is doing something important, which is sort of like, feels like a reconciliation of energies. And if you let it happen, on the other side, there's like a peace and a clarity. And then there's like, okay, now this is the result. Yes, we were giving you those insights because it was important, but it wasn't the right time because things had to reconcile in a certain way for it to come out with the right energy and the right message and the right understanding and the higher frequency versus like whatever I thought it was, when I was in the middle of the downloads and the stress that it was causing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And the new frequency that you and I and your listeners, the new frequency that we are birthing here on this earth is pure truth. And we are conditioned. We are conditioned by the society or by our lives to just act because we need to act to be busy because busy is virtuous, to act to be a high achiever because that's virtuous, to get things done, to tick a whole heap of boxes, to rise to a certain standard on whatever hierarchy of that we've created in our mind of the structure of this order of things. And this new paradigm that we are birthing together, it's pure truth and it's pure love. And right now, the antidote from the frequency that everyone has been living in is pure slowness, like slowness. And it's really uncomfortable. And anyone that is committed to living a path in alignment is probably going to be experiencing this right now, where it's like, should I be doing a bit more? Should I be moving a bit faster? Should I be creating more? And we are rewiring generations, centuries of getting faster and faster and faster. And we are rewiring to the pace that moves with the butterflies, like I see behind you, the pace that moves with the rivers, with the moon, with the sun, and its harmony and its flow. And this rewiring is so sacred and so important that it requires us to be in the absolute stillness for long periods of time. Just like you described, Kerry, whether we're meditating or whether we're just in the stillness of the day living our lives, we're being asked to be in that stillness, to find comfort in that stillness so we can once again relearn, what does pure inspiration feel like? What does pure clarity feel like? How does love create? How does love serve and act? And we can only rewire ourselves back to that pure way of being when we allow the stillness, the nothingness, the peace and the rest. And it's a sacred thing, and it's actually going to make our service move faster. It's going to make our creations more powerful because we're not on that roller coaster of creating failure, creating no momentum, creating giving up. We're just going to rest, go inward, get the downloads like you did, wait for that moment, and then now, and we're going to be flowing. And there's going to be grace, and we're going to be creating with the natural order of life and birthing a beautiful new way of being, an old way of being.
Yeah, I love that. It's so beautiful, and it's so true. The stillness actually is the other side of stress in the gene keys. It's stress at the shadow frequency. It's restraint in the gift. So you have to restrain yourself from acting, right? And then there's the stillness that you can drop into when you practice enough restraint. So it's like, that restraint is actually a muscle, and it's uncomfortable to practice that, not action, not speaking. But I love that you talked about, this is a rewire in terms of our doingness, because there's a big emphasis in the overall cultural, definitely of Western civilization, of a lot of doing, feeling like you need to do to survive, you need to do to be productive, you have to do it to make it happen. If you don't do it, it's not going to happen. So like there's a lot of this programming and also this work ethic. It's like work till, all the time. I mean, my great grandmother was a migrant farm worker, 14 kids, and they worked from sun up to sundown. There was never any rest. And so I think sometimes I still have that same work ethic. It's like, oh, I'm working from sun up to sundown, but I don't have to. And so over the last few years when I've been slowing down and I'm not working like that, I'm taking rests, I'm being still, I'm listening. And actually my body has just been tired. So I've had to rest. I haven't had a choice. Like if there's no mental clarity as a writer, you can't write. So you have to be still. There's no other choice. It has been such a difficult thing for my egoic personality that tells me how this all works for me to survive with money and all these things. I've had to constantly be holding and stroking that one like a little kitty, like, it's okay, I love you, it's going to be all right if we just slow down for a minute. And there's also this piece around in the slowing down, there's that clarity. And it's not always an action that needs to be taken. Sometimes it's words. And I feel like there's this rewiring also to realize the power of the word. And we can call the word in, and it can actually start transforming reality all by itself. And that recognition of the power of the word is, I feel like, coming back, and is only on my mind right now because somebody said yesterday, like, talk is cheap. And I was thinking about that. Talk is cheap. Is it really? Because I feel like words can move mountains. If we are speaking from a place of pure presence, if we're speaking from love and compassion and truth, and we are touching people's hearts with the words that we speak, there's a possibility that that one piece of spoken or word or written word could transform perspective in such a profound way that 10,000 marches couldn't do. So there is power in word, and it is sacred medicine. And so I just wonder how that lands for you.
Deeply, deeply. That lands deeply for me, because I feel like words are a pure gift, and my entire life purpose really actually is birthed on words. Like you know, writing, where what I write, every sentence has the power to fold you inward and inward and inward. There can be a depth to just a collection of words that can move you in such a way that nothing else can. And the same as when we speak, you know, we can talk and talk and talk from this mind space, or we can talk from our whole bodies, and we can move and bend and shape the energy of an entire space. When we speak through our whole bodies, and when we open as channels and let not just speaking from our body into the space, but letting the space speak through us. So we're like this mirror that ripples the vibration of whatever the space needs, like through us. And then the other thing as well that came to me as you're speaking, Carrie, is that obviously this language that we communicate in English is full of distortion and spells. The way it was designed is with very ill intention. There's a lot of words that are casting spells if we allow them to, but also we don't need to allow them to. We can allow the English language to be pure medicine and speak it through our heart. And something that is arising within so many awakening souls right now is the ability to communicate beyond the English language, just through pure sound frequency. And a lot of people call this light language, but the word language, I think, needs to be dropped. The word light needs to be dropped because we can attune to any frequency and speak that frequency through our body. You know, we can go into the water and attune to the frequency of the water. And if we allow ourselves to be open and clear enough, we can have sounds that come through our body, la, 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 you know, our tongue. If we let our tongue get loose, we can start to communicate the essence of the water to it and through us. And we can become super connected to frequency by allowing these sounds to come through us. And the sounds, the more I hear people letting the earth through their body, this happens a lot in like my sessions and retreat spaces, is people start to connect to the earth and the earth starts to speak through them, and it sounds kind of like tongues. You know, like what you see in the gospel churches, the Pentecostal churches, sounds kind of like that, like tongues, because the Kundalini speaks in tongues. Or these more soft sounds, and there's lots of similar sounds that everyone is speaking. One-on-one sessions where no one's ever heard this person, anyone else make these sounds before, everyone kind of sounds the same. And the sounds are like, lots of la, 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 la sort of sounds, right? And then it makes you wonder because a lot of the ancient languages have the same sounds. Like in the Druid lineages, the word Awen is what they would have chanted, like Awen, Awen, to invoke God. And then we have the which usually starts with the R sound. Om, and then Amen, Allah. And when you hear people sort of activating this light language, it's all these same ancient sounds. And it makes you wonder if it all actually started with the one. If we are actually of the one human family with the one sound, the one word. And so, yeah, circling right back to what you said, I think the word is what is actually being rebirthed. The word, the song, the sound.
I love that you said all that. I've been experiencing it and it feels awkward to my identity, my ego, right? It's like, I don't know what these words mean. But as I've practiced shamanic healing, the songs come through. I just start the brattle and the songs come through. And I've been realizing it's like the sounds of my ancestors, the songs of my Chalaki ancestors coming through. Yeah. And it's so beautiful.
You made me cry.
I know, because it's so beautiful. And I was just in the Smoky Mountains and I was on the land that my ancestors lived on for 17,000 years. And the songs are coming through and right from my heart. And it just comes through and I don't even know what it means in my mind, but it feels right. And my husband, who's also Indigenous, was like, you're just speaking love. You're singing love from your heart. I can feel it. And it feels like some words I've heard in these other languages. And I feel like it's powerful and it's sacred. And it's something that I haven't shared widely because I'm still accepting it, that it's coming through me this way and trusting it. And I'm holding it so that it's staying true. like you said that, and that I'm not exposing it to a lot of people that wouldn't necessarily understand what's coming through me, right? I want to keep it pure and protected. But sometimes in my groups, I will share it. But yeah, when you were saying that, I was like, that's exactly what's going on for me. It's been going on for a couple years now. Yeah. I love it when I hear other people do it. It's like, oh, cool, they're doing it. But I just,
magic.
Yeah, it is. And I feel like we all have that potential because we're all connected to the earth. And so I feel like that's why it's so important, like this stage of our awakening process or our coming home or whatever you want to call it is about us really deeply connecting with Mother Earth and with our bodies, getting connected with our ancestry that's in our DNA, in our cells, in our bodies. And so sometimes moving ourselves to a place in the world where our ancestors walked can really help open that up. And then also there could be places in the world where we lived in other bodies as souls, and those places, because those lifetimes need to open up for us, those lifetimes have medicine for this time. And so going to those sacred spaces that you lived as another kind of person in another life can also wake up and they'll recognize you. And this is some beautiful medicine is that I've noticed that the unbroken lineages of Indigenous people, they never lost, they never forgot. They've kept the medicine alive. And there's such a gift for us because they remember and they can help us to remember, and they're connected and they can help us to connect. And it's beautiful. I know that you said on your property that you have there's ancient lineages that live on your property and you've been connecting with them. Would you like to share a story of that connection?
Yeah, well, I live in Margaret River, so I live in a really pretty town on the southwest coast of Australia. And the story of the Indigenous people in Australia is extremely sad. It's extremely sad, and there is very little reverence for the wisdom of the land and of the culture. Although there is an effort to bring it back, there's an effort to come into some sort of collective reverence. But a lot of that effort on the surface is kind of directed from the government, and it's full of distortion and virtue signaling, and it's not authentic. So there isn't a huge Indigenous population where I live. There's actually not many places where there is a huge Indigenous population. Largely in Australia, the Indigenous populations are not in the city or in highly populated areas. But there are wise people here in Margaret River, and these wise people would say that this land is called Wadandi Budja, and that's what I would say. It's Wadandi, which is the saltwater people. And as I'm speaking, my body is just filling with chills as I can hear the land whispering, like, thank you. And my lineage is not from Australia in my ancestry. My ancestry would be Druidic, from North Wales, from the mountains. And that's my name. Rhiannon is Welsh. And yet here I am on this land in Australia where there's these wild trees that are so resilient in the harsh summers, that don't lose their leaves in the winter, and they're just big and they're ancient and they're wild and they're intense. They're not like trees that you see in Europe or probably in the States. And there's this ruggedness to the forest. It's not all mossy and perfect. It's this green forest that is met with the snakes of the summer and the harshness of a forest that must endure. And there's an energy that's so unique to this land. And the ancestors of this land, they want to move through anyone that is open and ready. You know, I lived in Bali the whole of last year, and the Balinese are so reverent to the land, generations of deep devotion to their culture. So it's like the land isn't waiting for a heart-opened person to arrive. It's like they're good. But here in Australia, I feel like where I am, the ancestors are so grateful for my attunement, and they're so sweet and they're so gentle, and they give me messages of how I can work with the land. So this property that we live on, it's very hard to get a nice house in Margaret River, particularly if you rent, and we rent. And we've been, just by a divine, miraculous intervention, gifted the opportunity to live in a pure artist home on 7 acres with river frontage on this Margaret River. It's like, if you tell the story to someone that lives in this town, it's unheard of. And I feel like we've been guided here because we love the land so much. And I sit and I just have to look at the trees, and I can feel then the wind like kisses me back with a prayer just from me closing my eyes and saying hello. You know, and it's not like we even need to receive these really intense psychic messages to know the ancestors are there. It's like, if you just close your eyes and just be and just say like, hello, through your base, through your body, like, hello, are you here? You will get a bird like fly overhead with the most magnificent sound, or you'll get the trees just rustle and sway in a way that seems like unreal. And the more you do this, then for me, I can hear speech. I can hear them talk to me. And just the other day, as I was walking along the forest that like winds down the river, I heard this message that was like, come into this bit of the forest. And it's not a bit that I would walk because it's not on the path. And to the eye, it's very ugly because there's a lot of bushfires and the trees are all black from previous bushfires. But I went into these black trees and through the untrodden path of the crunchy leaves. And there was this little opening in the river, and it looked like a pond, a little circular pond that had been created by the trees and a little riverbank. And it was like, kneel here. Like, and I had this beautiful divine guidance telling me how to give gratitude to the land by picking up the soil and just holding it and bringing through my prayers of gratitude, how to make wishes with the river by picking up the leaves and like sending a wish with each leaf. And the other day I took my daughters, I have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, and I took them down. I said, I've got to show you how we make wishes here. So the more I just open my eyes to see the beauty, it's like the more the ancestors want to give to me. And it just starts with me saying like, hello, thank you, I'm here.
I love that. That's good medicine for all of us. To open, to wake up the forest by acknowledging its presence, connecting intentionally, feet on the ground, hands on our tree bark, and just connecting our hearts, because that's our heart meridian, through our hands, connecting our hearts. Mm-hmm. I had this vision one time, and it was years ago, and of course I thought, that's too simple to be true, but it probably was the most true thing I ever heard, which is that if we really wanted to change the world, we could simply from our heart hold so much love and just place our hands on the earth and say, I love you. Thank you. And just that.
That's it, isn't it? That's it. And we overcomplicate so much on this beautiful path that we're on, going into these dreams where we think we need to be someone or serve in a certain way for our lives to be worthy. And I feel like when we just are reminded in the moment of the gift of what it is to be in this human body on this sacred earth paradise, it's all as it needs to be. We are in service. We are aligned.
Well, I'm definitely very misty from this conversation. Feel it opening my heart even more. And yeah, it's good medicine. Words are medicine combined with our hearts. And it's a way to move through this time, right? It's a way to move through the destruction and the chaos, and to realize that we're in the cocoon. Those things need to fall away so that a true form can emerge. And it is beautiful in the destruction too. You know, there can be revelations, like anytime I get a revelation about some piece that's falling apart or that's invited to die, that is actually sacred and beautiful as well. Like this piece that has held me together for so long, this piece that helped me to love myself and to encourage myself, this little piece of armor that came in and formed over my wound and said, that's okay, I got you. Here's the story we're going to tell about this. That's sacred. That was sacred protective armor. And I can recognize it now and set it down. I don't need it anymore. But it sure did help me when I needed it. And that's just happening left and right across the world right now. We have this massive opportunity to disrobe.
Mm-hmm. And we don't know about those pieces of armor until it's time for them to leave, you know. Of course, those pieces of armor serve us. They serve us, and we view the world and our own reality through the lens of that armor. And that feels like the whole truth until the moment comes where we're ready to see the deeper truth. And all of a sudden that armor feels heavy. And just in feeling the heaviness, that's the medicine that lifts it. And then we see through a whole new perspective, a whole new paradigm. And I think doing this work, our own shadow work of our own armors that we've built up over time, over lifetimes, passed through our ancestry is a lot. That's enough. You know, that's enough. And we will be feeling the collective, and that's enough. And we don't need to feed it. We don't need to feed it. And I think we're bombarded with so much information. And I remember when I was young, there used to be my parents, before they awakened, they watched the news, you know, and all the fear and all the information pushed through the news. But even if you don't watch the news now because you realize it's all lies, perhaps you look at alternative media, there's still the same frequencies there of war. And it's easy to think like, what is going to happen? What is going to happen? Like, this is too much. And I think it is too much. And it's not natural to be confronted with that much information on a day-to-day. And we've got to be with what is in our own bodies organically. We've got to work with the energy that arises to be healed. And obviously external triggers arise in perfect timing. But we don't need to like stoke the fire more than necessary, because it's too much fear to move through in one time. And I'm just speaking into this because this is something that I was doing like about a month ago, when it was like all that build up about the war, you know, Iran was getting involved, and I was like, holy moly. And then I did a ceremony, an ayahuasca ceremony on the 7th of June. It was 6th of June, because my birthday was on the 7th with a few beautiful friends. And as I was laying in the ceremony, I went to go to the bathroom, as you do. And I had this message: there's going to be a war, a world war. You need to prepare. And I was like, what? What? And it was very strong and angry message. And my body was shaking. And I was like terrified of this message. And then I went and laid back down, and I was like, is that true? And then it was like, well, you're in a state of fear, and nothing that you perceive or receive is ever true when you're in a state of fear. And then I like laughed. And I opened my heart, and I was like, come back to love. And I was like, but seriously, is there going to be a war? And then the message was, well, there's always been a war. And I was like, oh yeah, time to go back to me, time to go back inward. There's always been a war. And then the part of my psyche is like, but I need to be aware so I can have compassion, so that I can be attuned to my brothers and sisters of my human family. And it was like, you are compassionate. You are attuned because you are love. You don't need to move into a state of obsession and fear and panic to have compassion. That's the opposite. I can just be with myself, be in my day, be in the love that's here. And if the external comes into my mind, it's like, well, I am love, so of course I'm a wave of compassion that extends infinitely from me. And then in doing that, it's like every layer of the armor that arises, it's like, okay, well, this is true to my reality and what needs to be felt. And the irony of that is the more we do that, the more when these external influences come in, the more it is just a natural opening into compassion without feeling that fire of pain over and over and over again. So I hope that lands for anyone that's listening, because there's a lot going on.
Yeah, there is a lot going on, and we are human and we are not androids, and we feel things, and we have bodies that need care and rebalancing. And sometimes the fastest way to move forward is to slow down, because of what you talked about earlier. You know, you could be spinning around in circles if you just keep pushing. I've done that, you know, it's like just keep pushing, just keep pushing, just keep pushing. And then if I just slowed down and did nothing and just listened and waited, the perfectly aligned thing drops in. Just do that and it all works like instantly. So yeah, it's like we can struggle through it, or we can admit that we are powerful and yet also one grain of sand on the whole ocean beach, you know, like we're going to solve the problem one person, But that wave of compassion moving through us, when we're in that state of love and that state of compassion and that state of truth, that wave can heal a whole lot of particles.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're just in the one particle trying to affect a lot of other particles, it's not as effective.
Yeah, and it's tiring.
It is, because a particle can't really lift a whole mountain. I mean,
Yeah,
a wave can.
much.
A wave can.
Exactly.
But a mountain really is a lot for a little tiny particle. So yeah.
It is.
That just came through as such a good analogy. I really like that. That really helps
Yeah.
me, my personality, to cope with these things.
Yeah, I love that analogy. And that's all we can do. And to contribute to that wave is just to show up in our purest form of love and allowing. And then we contribute to that wave just by being with ourselves, and our whatever is alive and true for us, by just allowing and loving. It's like we are a part of that wave. We are the change. We are the rebirth of the collective. We are all of it.
And if there's something that you personally need to do, it will come forward from the stillness. You'll have clarity and you'll know, oh, I need to do that thing. Cool. And then you'll do that thing aligned, and it'll have massive impact because it's aligned and it was a love instruction and it came through and it's perfect timing. So yeah. Good stuff, Rhiannon. Really beautiful conversation. I like that we touched on the things that we meant to talk about. And I love that you came on the show and shared your gifts with us. And I want to invite everybody to check out Rhiannon's website, intuitiverebirth.com. You can check her out there. And I'll put all the other links in the show notes below. Is there anything that you'd like to leave the audience with on our way out the door?
Yeah, I would love to leave just a final message that's just coming through me. And it's just that whatever path of awakening and healing we've all been on, it's changing now. And it's ramping up. And it's pushing us even deeper into our places of discomfort. And these places of discomfort are everything you and I discussed. The stillness, the nothingness, the slowing down. And it's our biggest pain point in this Western society. But if you can allow and allow and allow, there's going to be a lot of gifts that arise. You're going to start to feel the love of the earth rise up like a wave through your body. You're going to start to feel a complete recalibration of your throat chakra as you're able to sing and speak these higher frequencies. You're not going to just be connecting to your higher self. You're going to be the embodiment of your higher self, where you're living through your heart and you're connected to the moment and the day. So that's where we are all heading, and we're building a life as a collective, united as these embodied aspects of divinity. So it's a big quantum leap that we're on now. Am I going nuts? Because the gifts are going to feel strong and intense and unexplainable, and the shadows are going to be strong, intense, and unexplainable. And my final message is it's all perfect. It's all perfect. And we're remembering the incredible infinite potential of what it means to be man, woman on this beautiful Mother Earth.
So beautiful. So beautiful. Thank you for that transmission. There had a lot of energy and power to it. It was like, doing this thing. So thanks for that.
Oh, you're so welcome.
And that was gorgeous. I appreciate you. I appreciate your gift. And thank you so much for sharing your medicine and your voice on the show. And for everybody else, please check out Rhiannon. And we're going to give you kisses now. If you'd like to join me, I like to give people kisses at the end of the show, and you can join me with that if you want. So here they come, everybody. Thanks for staying till the end. Here come your kisses. Love you.
Thank you so much, Carrie.
And we'll see you next time on Soul Nectar Show. Bye for now. If you found even one gold nugget in this episode of Soul Nectar Show, will you do us a favor? Will you subscribe, like, and share this episode? Maybe even write a comment and let us know what you thought about it. We really, really want to engage with you at a much deeper level. Let's be part of community together. Have a great week, everyone. Bye for now. To dive in deeper to nourishing conversation, visit soulnectar.com. Show.
Soul Nectar Show. Awaken, awake, show. Take a sip from the drip of nectar, from the source of who you are. Yeah. Soul Nectar Show. Yeah.